Good morning, everybody. It's your boy D Mac. So let's talk about it. So y'all see the title. We're talking about OGs today. We're talking about the neglect of our OGs. We're talking about the disrespect of our OGs. We're talking about why is there a need for our OGs. And when I say OGs, I'm not just talking about older dudes who can put you up on the game and stuff like that. I'm talking about the true OGs, the grandmas, the grandpas, the great grandmas, the great grandpas, and stuff like that. People that are 45 and over in your life. And there are a lot of young people out here who really don't have that. And so, good morning. What's happening, Reverend Tony? Good to see you, my brother. Blessings to you, man. Hey, y'all go over to Self Awareness TV and check out Reverend Tony, man. I was checking out your videos the other day, brother. You on point with it. You on point with it all, man. And the message behind the music is just it's entertaining, but it's educating at the same time, man. I call it edutainment. So y'all definitely go check it out, man. It's a blessing to see you this morning, brother. And so I just really want to get into the fact that we are neglecting our OGs, but we this is something that's not new to American society. There's been so many reports done on how the elderly have not been taken care of and they've been mistreated. They don't get the correct health care that they should for all that they've contributed to our society for it to grow to where it is to this day. And so I want to touch on this a little bit, and I'm gonna bring up a couple people in the industry, and I'm gonna show you what the difference of their OG in their life made. And the first one that I want to bring up is Lil Dirk. Lil Dirk recently did an interview with Wallow and Gilly on $1 million Worth of Game podcast. Shout out to them, man, because this was a great episode. Because during this episode, man, Wallow really opened up, man, and he spoke on forgiveness. This is something that nobody ever speaks to these young brothers about, man. And he spoke to that young man and he told a story about him having to forgive his brother's killer. Shout out to Wallow for opening up like that and being vulnerable in front of these hard dudes like that, because that's a hard thing for us as men to do, is to let down our guard and show ourselves vulnerable in front of other alpha males. And so for him to be able to do that as an OG, knowing that it was necessary and knowing that it would, you when you have to humble yourself in order to get across a bigger point and to make it more effective. I appreciate that brother for allowing himself to do that, because it made an impact on that young man. The look in Lil Durk's eyes, the look in all of his homeboys' eyes, because there was absolutely not one of them that was speaking, and he had a full undivided attention in that moment. And that could be the moment that saved the life of one or many of those young brothers, so that they can go on and do things for their family, and eventually, if God bless them, to live long enough to be considered a true OG. You know what I'm saying? So I really wanted people to understand this. Not only Wallow, and I brought up Lil Durk because Lil Durk just reunited with his father. His father's been incarcerated, I believe Dirk said, for 26 years. And that's basically most of his life, if not all of it. And so he talked about how having his father back in his life, it made such a difference, because this is one of those divides that as a child people don't really talk about, how we go through this time of just fantasizing that the parents are back together and everything is back the way it was when you was little, because those are the best years. But he spoke on how his father was starting to tell him different things and open his eyes up to different things, and that's why you don't see him in on the internet and stuff like that, doing all of the negative and crazy stuff. He spoke about the importance of having his father in his life to really be able to give him life game about just life, period, and people that he's dealing with, and to protect his son. And Dirk had to let go of a lot of pain, and he had to let go of a lot of unforgiveness to be able to allow his father back in his life like that, and repatching up that void that was in his life for 26 years makes him a totally different man to this day. He's starting to grow up and become a young man. And this is absolutely what is needed, but there is a neglect to our older people that come from the younger people, and I understand it because there was a whole generation of fathers who got swept up in the crack epidemic, and that generation of fathers produced a whole lot of sons and daughters that have a whole lot of anger and resentment inside of them. And so when it comes to their elders, not just their fathers, but any older person in a position of authority that could remind them of that, then they pushing against it, and they don't have any respect for it because it was never really there for them during the whole crack epidemic. And so now we have to deal with this, and we have to discuss this on a level openly and be honest about what was done and what we did or what happened in the lives of all of these children who got swept up in this, because we're going to go through another one pretty soon. We're going to go through that opioid epidemic, and we're going to have to deal with the children who were a result of a lot of those people who indulged in those types of drugs. And so you got the meth, you got what is that stuff? Flocka, you have what is it, fentanyl, you have all of these different new drugs that are bringing up another generation of children that are going to have resentment because the drug totally took that parent out of their life. It took them OGs out of their life, because it's more than just mama now. There's grandmas, grandpas strung out on drugs, and these children have nobody to look to. And so they're going to have a resentment for anything that associates with an authority figure in their life, because they've never seen it in a positive light. So this is something that we have to deal with. Older generation, the 70s, 80s, 90s. We got to deal with these things that happen, and we have to patch these things up. And that is going to, I'm not going to say that's going to automatically bridge the gap between the older generation and the younger generation. But what it is going to do is going to start to build the structure for that bridge. That's just one part of it, man. It's a lot of healing that has to be done, and it's gonna take time as people deal with this topic and really go head on with the subject, because I had to do it in my life. I went through some things in my life, man, that took me out of my children's life for a while. And when I was able to come back from that and reconnect with my kids, man, it was one of the greatest things that I ever accomplished in my life. And I'm proud about that to this very day. And there's nothing that can take that away. And at the same time, this is something I'm saying, just like overall, not only for the Black community, because there are other communities as well who have the same issues. It's elders all the way across the board that are being disrespected. It used to be, you'd be like, oh, no, not the Mexican elders. They are revered and stuff like that. Yeah, to some degree, just a little bit more. But this younger generation still has that disrespect, or that lack, they have that lack of respect for their elders. And so there's another person who really has been out of the media a lot ever since he reunited with his OG, and that's Offset from the Migos. You know, Offset talked a lot about, his father, and the strained relations between him and his father, and he got his pops back in his life, and yo, that dude is trying to calm down. Well, he was already on a path to trying to become a man, because it's hard coming up in that industry, having all of this access to so much stuff. A young man can get caught up in that. That's understandable to a certain degree. But here lately, that dude been staying out of the paper, out of the media. Um, Not so much getting into all the wild stuff that they used to do. And I think personally it has a lot to do with reconciling with his pops, and trying to giving him an opportunity to right some of the wrongs that he did in his time. We don't know the whole story of them people's life, but you go through some things, man. Life will take you through some heavy stuff, man. And to be able to bounce back from that, that's valuable knowledge that the young really not getting. Salute to DMX, man. Before DMX left this world, DMX, man, he was just dropping game. He was dropping knowledge. He was, what I'm saying, telling a cautionary tale to the world. And he definitely was one of those artists who was appreciated more for his character than his music, because we love DMX. Come on, the music was dope. He had some iconic songs that really relate to a lot of our life. You know how we attribute certain things in our life, like the time that it happened, to a certain song that you was listening to that would just happen to be in the background. DMX has a bunch of those songs for a whole lot of people. And so when DMX dropped knowledge, when DMX really get in his spiritual bag and start speaking from his core of Earl, you know what I'm saying? He would leave a long lasting effect. There was like a spiritual residue left over whoever was in contact with him during the time that he spoke that, because he meant that from the heart. And this is something that is missing in this society, and this is why the respect for the elders is diminishing even more than what it already had. They don't see the value of what the elders have to bring to the upcoming society, but you're destined to repeat your history if you don't have a clear understanding of what really took place. And this is what the elders bring to the table, because there are some people who have been in some extraordinary life events that we celebrate even. And these people, if you didn't really know that history, you wouldn't know these people. And you see them every day, and they have a wealth of knowledge just through one of the stories that they tell you. I have an older neighbor, and he's a well-traveled brother. He's in the church and stuff like that, and ex-military like me. So he drops some knowledge on me every now and then. We sit out on the porch and we have talks, just manly talks, man. And he's a wealth of knowledge because of everything that he's been through in his life. Now, will all of his life experiences benefit me? No, not every single one of them, because we all have our own individual paths. But at the same time, the things that he imparts into me as a younger OG, because I'm 44, about to hit 45 in a couple of weeks, but he's 70. I believe he says 70. I don't want to make him older, but like 75, 76. So he's an OG, you know what I'm saying? And he definitely have given me some things to think about. He's given me some things to apply to my life, and I appreciate him for that. And if I'm not able to get that verbal and that spiritual manhood, brotherly interaction from him, then I won't be able to pass that on to my son, and my son pass that on to the teens, and then the teens. You know what I'm saying? It's a trickle down effect. But when we don't have these prime examples right there in our face to show you how it's done, not something that you see on the TV screen, because we look on these screens and we see all types of visuals that hits all types of chakra in us and stimulate us in certain ways. And so we looking on here and seeing something, being like, oh, that's just like something just pinged your antenna, you know what I'm saying, for a second, but it's nothing that made a true impact. The true impact comes from when we are face to face, when you see me physically and you see the expressions on my face when I'm speaking to you, and know that your spirit bears witness with my spirit that what I'm speaking to you is a truth that comes through the experience that I've had in life, that I went through myself, every single second of it. And God will bring that back to your remembrance in a time like that, so that you can transfer how important and how severe something really is. And so this is what we are missing with our young men, those interactions where we talk to a young man from a place of hurt, a place of pain, a place of wisdom, a place of humor, a place of forgiveness, a place of thankfulness. Man, I remember coming up, I used to hang around OGs all the time. And I'm saying, like, when I'm in 15, 16, I'm hanging with people that's in their 40s, 50s, 60s, pretty much on a regular basis. I hung with my boys and did all that, but there were certain areas, those certain places in the neighborhood, the old barber shop, or you can go to the old tire shop, Mr. Frank down there who changed oil, doing tires and stuff, got all his old homies sitting around talking. We had these types of social gatherings in the black community, and it was a regular thing. And so I would go down there either with my dad or to get me a soda or whatever. And they stopped me and they asking me questions. I'm a young buck, and they asking me what's going on. What's going on out there? What y'all young bucks? What's on your mind and stuff? These my dad old friends, so I'm comfortable with them. I'm talking to these dudes. Yeah, Mr. Frank, this and that. That's what kept the OGs connected to what's going on in the streets. Now, yeah, they can see the violence and they can see all of the stuff, the outside stuff of what's really happening. But to get an understanding of why it's happening is what we offer to the OGs, and the OGs offer their rebuttal or some advice about what's going on. They never let me leave away from that spot without giving me some sound advice about what's been going on. And so this is something that I don't see anymore, because now really a lot of the OGs, they still struggling with a drug problem. So you can't be going to give some game to a young man and really expect him to respect it like that if you turn around and you buying some dope from him later. And that's where we were at a certain point. There was like I say about a 20-year stretch where this is what we were dealing with. You got the OGs coming in the front talking good game, but as they head out the back door, they grab their package. And so the young man see that, and he was like, well, if all those years of experience and all of this stuff you telling me only resulted in you coming to get a pack from me, then I really can't respect what you're saying, because what you're saying is not lining up with what you're showing me. And there you have it. The divide has been set. So when my brothers start to look into ourselves and we start to see that, okay, man, we got to straighten ourselves up, man. It's not about us anymore. It's not about how we look to the world. It's about how we look to those young men who look to us for guidance. Because there's a whole lot of them out there that's still looking for that. What is a real strong black man supposed to look like? What does that look like in real life? I mean, you can go and see everybody else's example except for ours, because we have so many different ideas of what it's supposed to be. One was the Cliff Huxtable style of dad. One was the James Evans style of dad. Uh, there's a couple other black father figures that has been depicted to us over time that a lot of people have mimicked, and maybe it worked out in their life, and others have tried it and it didn't, because we're dealing with real life situations and it just don't get written down on a script. Our script is just we just basically freestyling our script in life. Don't nobody had to know the script and have the script down but the man upstairs. He's the only one that got your whole entire script. So you're basically doing what was that show that they used to have? Whose line is it anyway? Where you just going back and forth and doing what they call it? Um whatever they call it, man. I'm just had a brain for it right now, but you know what I'm talking about. And so you just working your way through life, man. We still trying to understand things. As older men, we're still trying to figure things out. This is what the younger kids don't understand. And I want to make this clear. When you do have OGs in your life, when they come out of their mouth with stuff, as much respect as you may have for that OG, you still got to check it because I've had some older people in my life as well to tell me some things, and they didn't mean any harm in saying it, but they didn't realize how much influence they had over my mind when they spoke. And so when they said something, I would take it to heart, and they didn't realize how much I did. And so some of the things that they said that wasn't really intended to hurt me ended up hurting me because I went out and thought that's what I was supposed to do. So we got to watch our mouths, man, and be careful what we're saying around these children. I've heard some crazy stuff being said in the presence of a kid, and that kid take it to heart. I remember Mike Tyson was talking about how Cus D'Amato had him so convinced that he was just invincible, that there was nothing in the world that could have proven him, who could have convinced him otherwise. And we do have some OGs out here who will speak the wrong things to these young men. And they're reliving their old glory days of what they used to do back in the day, what they thought was so cool and so dope. And instead of imparting the wisdom of the outcome of these situations that they went through, all of the jail time and all of the mamas that cried and all of the girlfriends that kicked them out and wouldn't let them see their kids because they were so dangerous to the community and to the environment. They didn't tell you about that stuff. They just told you about when they was out there on the block with their homeboy and they jumped out of the car and they ran up on these niggas and all. That's what they gonna tell you about. But they not gonna tell you about all of those back behind the scenes. Yeah, but then the police came and scooped all of us up and I ain't get to go to my baby girl birthday party and I swore I was gonna be there. And now she won't even talk to me still to this day because I let her down so many times. But I'm still hood, nigga. I'm still a thug, nigga. I'm still out here banging, bro. Even though my children don't respect me as a man because they see now in their upbringing that I've went out here and done all of this stuff to pay for. Now their education and the resources that they have available to them is telling them that I ain't shit. So that's how it goes sometimes, man. That's exactly how it goes sometimes. And that's a I say that it is a I say that that's a win for the young group, man, because you need to have this information to be able to check some of these things that these older people are saying to you, because not all OGs is giving you good information. They may be able to they may be able to put it in a good package and deliver it to you real good, but that's all it is, man. It's just smoke in the wind. So I'm getting ready to get out here, man. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the need for our elders, our grandmothers, our great grandmothers, mama and them. These are the ones that we need back in our lives. These are the ones that we need in our children's lives because they're the ones who are going to be the physical example of where they came from. And that's the main thing right there. To understand where you come from is so vital in a person's life, and people really don't realize that until they get older. They say hindsight is 2020. And so when we're able to look back on these things, and we'll see that these are the things that made us stronger. These are the things that made us, gave us a different perspective and a different view to see this from, instead of just our young, inexperienced perspective. Because we get to a certain age and we feel like we know a lot of things. Yeah, we may have a lot of information. We may have access to it more readily than our elders, but do we truly? Because yeah, we can jump on these devices and we can look up information and pull it up like that. But all grandpa got to do is say, let me see, that was right about 1954. Yeah, I believe me and Charlie was down there. You know what I'm saying? His computer is a lot quicker than your computer, and it has experience. Your computer does not have the ability to generate experience. So it can generate an algorithm, but it can never generate experience. So we're going to give flowers to our elders at every opportunity. We're going to, not only that, I ain't talking about just honoring them and keep it moving. No, sit down and really have these conversations. I remember when I was in the military, we would go to the old retirement homes, and we would talk with the old veterans, the World War I, World War II vets, this that were in these retirement homes, and the level of uh I don't know, man, love of country, pride for what they did, the regrets, the just everything that we was able to share with these people, it gave us something to think about as we got ready to deploy. I remember Papa said that, he stormed the beaches of Normandy. Now that's crazy, bro. You have somebody that can actually tell you from experience storming the beaches of Normandy. Shout out Pop Pop. And so there's nothing better than that. You can go read any text you want to, and you'll never get the deep experience like from somebody who was there. And so I give my shout out to all of my elders, 65, 75, 80. God bless you for still being here. One other thing that I wanted to mention, my mother she just turned 76 years old on February 10th. And my mother, in her early 70s, went back to high school. And I thought that that was one of the dopest things ever, you know. And this is our church offered the program. What my home church offered the program, and she joined, and she went back to high school. My mom sitting up there doing homework and just keeping herself sharp. Man, that's a blessing to see. That's something that will inspire you for generations. That's the thing that inspires for generations. That's the things that makes our young say, I have this in me. I have this ability in me through this connection to this woman who does this on the regular. She's always doing some life-changing things. She's always setting a new trend no matter what. And this blood runs through my veins. I can do that. And I can do more. This is what the whole cycle is about. Reverend Tony, you said the big picture. That's the big picture right there. This is your boy D-Mac, man. Y'all know what I say. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.